Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're focusing on something really significant for many female to male transgender individuals, the concept of passing.
Right, which is essentially about being seen, being perceived by others as male, which aligns with their gender identity rather than, the sex they were assigned at birth.
And this isn't just superficial, is it? It can be really fundamental for comfort, feeling authentic, general well-being.
Yeah, self-esteem, that sense of belonging, it touches a lot of things.
So for this deep dive, we've got a couple of useful sources. An article from Faster Capital, Passing with Pride, Tips for FTM Individuals. That was updated pretty recently, April 2025.
And we also have some extra text, sort of supplementary advice, giving more practical tips.
Our mission here is really to pull out the key insights, the practical strategies, and maybe some important things to think about for FTM folks navigating their presentation and social interactions.
Exactly, giving you a solid understanding based on these resources.
Okay, so let's dive in. Why is it often such a big deal for FTM individuals? What's the impact?
Well, at its core, I think successfully passing can be incredibly validating. It's affirming.
How so?
When someone is consistently seen as male, it creates this alignment between their internal identity and how they're perceived, externally.
Right, the inside matches the outside view.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And that can be a massive boost to self-confidence. It can also really help alleviate gender dysphoria.
Which is that deep distress.
Yeah, that disconnect between your sense of self and your physical body. Passing can actually make that distress lessen because the world is reflecting back who you know you are.
That makes a lot of sense. That alignment sounds incredibly powerful, but it goes beyond just personal feelings too, right? There are other implications.
Oh, absolutely. Safety is a huge one. It's a sad reality, but transgender people face much higher rates of discrimination, harassment, even violence.
Yeah, the statistics are quite stark.
They are. So for some FTM individuals, passing as male might, unfortunately, mean reducing their visibility as transgender in public spaces.
So it becomes a way to potentially avoid transphobia or harm.
It can be, yeah. It's a really sobering reason, but it's a vital one for why passing can feel so important for just navigating the world safely.
That really does put it into perspective. So we have validation, safety. What about fitting in socially, belonging?
Passing often just makes social interactions smoother. It helps foster that sense of belonging.
You mean like at work or school?
Exactly. Relationships, work, education, social circles.
Yeah.
FTM individuals often want to just be seen as men in these contexts.
Makes sense.
And when they pass, they can often navigate these situations more easily. It allows for more, maybe, authentic connections because there aren't those potential barriers based on gender identity confusion.
It sounds like it really weaves through almost every part of life. Okay, so the sources we looked at had a lot of advice. It feels like confidence must be a pretty key starting point for all this.
That's a really good point. The sources definitely emphasize that.
Mm.
A big first step is, well, embracing your identity, accepting yourself as an FTM individual.
That internal work.
Right, understanding that your identity is valid. And then beyond that, connecting with supportive communities is huge.
Finding your people.
Yeah, online groups, local support groups, just sharing experiences, knowing you're not alone. That makes a world of difference for building confidence.
I can imagine. Strength in numbers, shared experience. What else helps build that confidence?
Education, actually.
Yeah.
Knowing about transgender issues, terminology, rights, even medical options, it's empowering.
Lets you make informed choices.
Exactly. And as more knowledge gets out there, generally it can challenge ignorance, foster more acceptance, which, feeds back into self-esteem.
It's kind of a positive cycle, ideally. And then, okay, how you actually present yourself, that must tie into confidence, too.
For sure. The sources talk a lot about exploring presentation styles, trying out different clothes, hairstyles, grooming.
Experimenting.
Yeah. And it's not just about passing necessarily, but finding what feels genuinely authentic to you, what feels comfortable.
Because there isn't just one way to be masculine.
Not at all.
Yeah.
And the resources also mention the value of professional support, like therapists, specialists.
People who get it.
Yeah, offering guidance, emotional support. And finally, just recognizing your wins, celebrating milestones along the way.
Those all feel like really solid building blocks. Okay, let's get into the more concrete stuff. Clothing and style. How can that help create a masculine presentation?
A really central idea is the silhouette. Masculine presentation often focuses on creating a more angular or defined shape.
Right, changing the overall outline.
Exactly. And well-fitted clothing is key here. Clothes that follow your body's lines without being tight, but also not super baggy, which can hide your shape.
So not necessarily tight, but not drowning in fabric either.
Pretty much. Think tailored shirts, pants, jackets, things that can help suggest broader shoulders or a straighter torso. The sources explicitly contrast this with just throwing on a really baggy t-shirt.
Okay, so structure and fit. What about patterns and colors? Any guidelines there?
Yeah, they suggest classic patterns often read as more masculine, like stripes, plaids, checks.
Things you'd see in traditional menswear.
Right. And color-wise, darker shades often work well. Navy, charcoal, gray, black. They can contribute to that traditionally masculine look. Maybe steer clear of, say, very bright florals if that's the goal.
Got it. Structured fits, classic patterns, darker colors. What about the little things, the details, accessories?
Accessories can make a surprising difference. Choosing traditionally masculine items like belts, watches, maybe ties.
Adds those finishing touches.
Yeah. Even with earrings, the advice leans towards simple studs or hoops or maybe none at all for that more traditional male aesthetic.
And shoes.
Shoes, too. Things like dress shoes, loafers, sneakers are generally recommended. Advising against styles usually seen as more feminine, like, ballet flats versus maybe Oxfords or sneakers.
Those are clear pointers. Now, our second source, it got even more specific about clothes, didn't it?
It did, yeah. It actually mentioned that sometimes looser clothes can be helpful, but it really highlighted layering.
Layering, how so?
Like wearing a long-sleeve shirt under a short-sleeved one, maybe one has a collar, or wearing an unbuttoned collared shirt over a t-shirt.
Ah, creating depth and breaking up line.
Exactly. And sweatshirts or hoodies under other shirts. It even mentioned pulling the hood out over the collar of a jacket or shirt for that casual look.
Practical tips. What about pants specifically?
It talked about belting pants just below the waistline, using masculine materials like corduroy, denim, khakis.
Standard stuff.
Yeah. And pants that maybe taper a bit at the ankle, like cargo pants with drawstrings, or if you tight roll jeans. That can help. Though it did add a little caution about cuffing pants, saying sometimes it might read as butch lesbian rather than masculine, depending on the context.
Subtle distinctions.
And the most straightforward advice, just wear men's pants. But remember, the sizing is different waist, and inseam are key.
Good practical reminder. Okay, shifting gears a bit. How much of this passing thing is about nonverbal cues, the stuff you do without speaking?
Oh, it's huge. Nonverbal cues are absolutely fundamental. Your posture, for one.
How you hold yourself.
Exactly. Standing tall, shoulders back, chest maybe slightly out, head high. That projects confidence, masculinity. Avoiding slouching is key.
Makes sense. What about interacting with others?
Eye contact, really important nonverbal signal. Maintaining steady, focused eye contact generally reads as confident and engaged.
Not staring, but not looking away constantly either.
Right. Hold the gaze naturally, then look away briefly. Avoid, darting eyes. And then gestures.
Hand movements and such.
Yeah. The advice is generally towards more expansive, purposeful gestures, less small, maybe delicate movements.
Thinking bigger, more deliberate. What about just walking? Does that matter?
Your gait, yeah, it definitely contributes. A more masculine walk is often described as purposeful, a bit of a stride, maybe a slight shoulder sway, arms swinging naturally.
As opposed
to maybe smaller steps or grassing legs while walking. Focusing on confident strides, feet roughly shoulder width apart.
Okay. And then, of course, the voice. That's a big one for many people.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's not technically body language, but your vocal tone, your speech patterns, they're critical nonverbal or maybe paraverbal cues.
Right.
Lower pitched voices are often associated with masculinity, along with more assertive, direct speech.
And speaking from the diaphragm.
Yes. That helps get a richer resonance, avoiding things like uptalk, where your voice goes up at the end like a question, or vocal fry, that low, creaky sound.
Our second source had some specific body language tips too, right? Hands in space.
It did. It mentioned being mindful of where your hands are.
Right.
Natural spots like pockets, or resting comfortably spread out, maybe running through your hair.
Not fidgeting nervously.
Right. Or letting them hang limply. It suggested hands inside the thighs when sitting can look relaxed and masked. It also mentioned taking up a bit more space, open body posture. Apparently, that can also make you feel more confident, too.
Interesting link there.
And with walking, it echoed the idea of movement coming more from the shoulders, full stride, trying to minimize hip movement.
These subtle things really add up. Okay, let's focus more on the voice itself. Developing a more masculine sound. What techniques did the resources suggest?
They really started with the basics, breathing and resonance. Learning to breathe from the diaphragm, not the chest, is key for that fuller sound.
Like singers do.
Exactly. And exercises like humming or doing lip trills on a low note can help develop that deeper resonance in your chest and throat.
Okay, breathing, resonance. What about the actual pitch?
Pitch modification is definitely a focus. Practicing lowering your pitch gradually. Exercises like gliding your voice down from high to low, or even speaking in more of a monotone to find a comfortable lower range.
And there are apps for that.
Yeah, pitch monitoring apps exist. They give you real-time feedback while you practice, which is pretty cool.
Technology to the rescue. Any other vocal techniques?
Yeah, adjusting articulation and speech patterns. Men's speech is often characterized as a bit more relaxed, maybe a slightly slower pace with longer pauses sometimes.
So consciously trying to adopt some of those patterns?
It can help, yeah. And of course, the sources strongly recommend professional help, if possible. Speech therapists or vocal coaches who specialize in transgender voice training.
They can give personalized exercises.
Exactly. Tailored to your specific voice and goals.
And that second source had some slightly more unusual voice tips, too.
Uh-huh, yeah. It mentioned looking at online videos for tips, obviously, but also this, anecdotal idea about drinking milk before bed for a deeper morning voice. Unproven, but mentioned.
Okay.
More conventionally, it also suggested humming and lip trills on a low note, and even gargling water while trying to make a deep sound in your throat.
Trying anything, maybe.
Kind of. But it also, importantly, warned against bogus advice, using the example of putting mascara on arm hair to make it look darker, which it said just doesn't work.
Good to debunk myths. All right, so we've hit clothing, nonverbals, voice. Let's talk grooming and styling hair, face, that sort of thing.
Haircuts are a big one. Shorter styles like undercuts or fades are common masculine choices.
But you need to be clear with the barber.
Yes, the advice is
Yeah.
be direct. Say you want a masculine haircut, not just a generic boy's cut, because they can interpret that differently.
Good tip. What if you can't cut your hair yet?
The sources suggested using hats, beanies, toques to hide length, or styling bangs differently, especially if you're wearing a hoodie, to look more mask.
Clever workarounds and facial hair.
That's obviously a big goal for many. If natural growth happens over time, great. But exploring styling options, maybe considering transplants down the line, or even temporary prosthetic facial hair are all options mentioned.
Okay. What about skin, shaving, general facial stuff?
Skincare basics, maybe using gender-specific products if you want. Regular shaving, if you have facial hair or want to encourage that look.
The second source mentioned an age.
Yeah, it noted that cis boys often start puberty around 14, 15, so some FTM folks might start shaving peach fuzz around then if it appears. It also briefly touched on using contour makeup not essential, but an option to create more angular facial features.
Like defining a jawline.
Exactly. And a funny little tip. Messing up eyebrows slightly with water or clear mascara so they look less perfectly groomed.
Subtle. And it circled back to clothes and accessories again briefly.
Yeah, just reinforcing staples like well-fitting suits, button-downs, jeans, sneakers. Considering your body shapes, maybe structured shoulders and tops, straight or slim jeans.
And accessories and grooming products.
Things like watches, belts, hats, sunglasses used in balance. Masculine scents, cologne, deodorant. Good skincare routine. The second source got specific on jewelry again. Keep it minimal, maybe metals or black. Check out what guys are wearing locally, look at men's fashion blogs, but be aware of teen versus adult styles.
That's a very thorough look at presentation. But like we said, it's not just how you look or sound, it's how you handle interactions too.
Totally. The sources stress being aware of other people's nonverbal cues, body language, expressions, gives you context.
Reading the room.
Yeah. And for your own communication. Simple, direct language. A calm, confident tone. Being assertive, but also a good listener. Basic, good communication skills, really.
What about difficult moments, like being misgendered?
That's tough. The advice offers options. If you feel safe, you can politely correct the person. Actually, my pronouns are he, him.
Educating them gently.
Right. It can help prevent it next time. But sometimes if it feels unsafe or just, not worth the energy, ignoring it might be the best choice for you.
Protecting your peace.
Exactly. Or maybe you educate them later in a safer space. The main thing is prioritizing your safety and well-being.
That's crucial. And it sounds like having supportive people around you really helps navigate all this.
Absolutely essential. The resources hammer this home. Seek out LGBTQ+ organizations, support groups, online communities. Find people who get it.
That sense of community again.
Yeah. It provides emotional support, practical advice, just belonging. And
Ugh.
building your own self-confidence, that self-acceptance we talked about earlier, that also really helps you navigate interactions and build good connections.
It all ties together. Now, this idea of allies specifically came up. How do you find those people?
Well, those LGBTQ plus groups are a prime place,
Yeah,
online or local. You find people who understand firsthand.
makes sense.
But also, educating your existing network friends, family,
Hmm.
sharing resources, having open conversations can turn loved ones into really strong
It's
allies.
about bringing them along on the journey.
In a way, yeah. And finding supportive professionals is key. Therapists, doctors who specialize in trans healthcare. They're crucial allies.
And mentors.
Mentors, too. Connecting with other trans guys who've been through it can be incredibly helpful. Guidance, support from lived experience, even professional support groups exist.
Lots of avenues.
Yeah. Just be proactive, but also, careful online. Stick to reliable, respectful communities.
Good advice. Okay, finally, this whole transition journey, it's complex, it's personal. How do the resources suggest framing and celebrating that growth?
The main idea is to embrace it as your unique journey. See it as transformative, empowering, even with the challenges.
So accepting the changes.
Yeah, accepting the physical, social, emotional changes, acknowledging your progress, big and small, leaning on those support networks, getting professional help when needed. That's part of it,
Self-care is important.
hugely. Cultivating self-compassion, being kind to yourself, understanding yourself, exploring your identity as it evolves.
And setting boundaries.
Definitely. Honoring your boundaries, communicating your needs clearly, advocating for yourself. These are all part of growth. And yeah, celebrating the wins every step. Embracing the uncertainty too, trusting you can handle it.
That second source had an interesting take on maybe bringing back some feminine things later on.
It did. It suggested this idea. Maybe you start out presenting very masc, get comfortable being read as male consistently. Then, if you want to, you could slowly reintroduce some elements previously seen as feminine, just finding your balance.
Testing the waters.
Kinda. Seeing what feels right, maybe pulling back if misgendering starts happening again. It also repeated the warning about bad advice like the mascara thing, but it did highlight exercise as being really positive.
For dysphoria and passing.
Yeah, good for mental health,
Yeah.
managing dysphoria, and potentially helps with passing through building muscle. And it mentioned packing, not essential for passing, it said, but definitely an option some guys use to help with dysphoria.
Really nuanced points there. Okay, so just to wrap up, we've covered a lot. The importance of passing validation, safety, belonging, building that core confidence.
And the practical stuff. Masculine presentation through clothes, nonverbal cues like posture and gestures, developing the voice, grooming, styling.
We also talked about handling social interactions, dealing with misgendering, the vital role of finding allies and building support networks.
And finally, just embracing the whole journey, celebrating personal growth, staying authentic.
And it's so important to stress, again, like you said, passing is personal. How important it is varies. Authenticity is really the main goal, respecting everyone's individual path.
Absolutely key. There's no single right way to do this.
Definitely. So, for you listening, as you've heard all this, maybe think about which strategies resonate most with you right now. How do things like external presentation and that internal confidence work together for your sense of self? We really encourage you to keep exploring, find resources, connect with communities, keep navigating your own unique, powerful path.